Hello YouTube, Tyson here again for TVEnthusiast. 2 days ago marked the 25th anniversary of the Sci-Fi Channel. Though it is currently under a much disliked respelled name, it cannot be denied that Sci-Fi has brought us some of the best genre shows on television. As such, for this week's edition of Top 10 Tuesday, we are taking a look at the best sci-fi original series. Number 10. Alphas. Sci-Fi took their own approach to the growing demand for comic book adaptations by presenting a far more grounded approach to the mutant story we all know from X-Men. The abilities in Alphas are limited and often come with severe side effects, and the group of reluctant heroes operates like a support group led by a therapist. Number 9. Who Wants to Be a Superhero? The only reality show on this list was a bit of wish fulfillment and cosplay fun for a group of people who aspired to represent the larger-than-life ideals of their favorite comic book characters. The series was silly, but had a lot of heart brought into it by the involvement of comic book legend Stan Lee as the host and judge of the series. Number 8. Caprica. While this Battlestar Galactica spin-off was not nearly as good as the show it spun off from, Caprica was still a brilliant story about the birth of artificial intelligence amidst the backdrop of an interplanetary polytheistic society. Dealing heavily with the politics of large corporations, organized crime, and a growing monotheistic cult that dirties its hands with acts of terrorism, the series never made the mistake of resting on its initial expected premise. Number 7. 12 Monkeys. Though some might say that the very idea of a television adaptation of one of legendary director Terry Gilliam's most iconic films is blasphemy, the series as its own entity tells a compelling time travel story about desperate circumstances, an apocalyptic future, and a rally against the guiding hand of destiny. 12 Monkeys is smart, well-made, and full of surprises. Number 6. Eureka. Eureka was a great little show on Sci-Fi that can also unfortunately be seen as the network's turning point towards smaller-scoped science fiction. That being said, I would never blame a great show for a network's turn in direction. That lies with the network itself. Eureka deserves credit as a very fun series about a hidden small town that constantly faces dire challenges due to its nature as a secret government-aided shelter for moonshot projects. With companies like Google exploring moonshots through their X division, and the rapid growth of sci-fi-ish new technologies, the idea of a secret town exploring science might not seem so crazy anymore. In fact, then Google CEO Larry Page brought up the idea of an island or safe place for the fostering and development of new technology in his keynote at the 2013 Google I/O Developers Conference. His sentiment is often mocked, but I found myself excited at the prospect of a real-life Eureka. Number 5. Dark Matter. Sadly cancelled at the end of this year's season, Dark Matter came to us from two producers of the Stargate television franchise. The series debuted alongside Killjoys, which caused some confusion as both series were space-traveling action adventures with cast of lovable rogues navigating a universe dominated not by governments, but corporations. Dark Matter was the better of the two shows, by a good margin, but sadly the network chose to renew Killjoys for a final season, while Dark Matter ended without closure. It was an exciting show with great characters and fun dynamics between them. Its third and final season was not its best, but I will still miss the adventures of the crew of the Rozak. Number 4. Stargate Atlantis. I wanted to put all of the Stargate shows on this list, as I enjoyed every last one of them, but I felt that they were too similar to include multiple entries. Then I wanted to include the first series, Stargate SG-1, but I decided against it since the first 5 seasons of the show aired on the premium network Showtime, before the series moved to Sci-Fi. I settled on Atlantis, the first spin-off series that focused on a group of Stargate Command personnel who traveled to a faraway galaxy, yet unknown to the various alien races in SG-1, to explore the lost city of the ancients, who have since ascended to pure energy. Like other Stargate shows, Atlantis balanced a fun group of characters that share great chemistry between them, with great science fiction and military action. Number 3. The Magicians. I am constantly switching between my second and third place entries on this list. I feel that they are of equal quality, but for very different reasons. This time I am placing the fantasy series The Magicians behind the other series, mostly due to the quality of each show's second season. Both shows had a great second season, but The Magicians was a bit less focused and consistent. Even so, the series remains one of my favorite shows that currently airs on television. With the great balance between various subgenres of fantasy, horror, drama, and comedy, and the subversive storytelling that can only come from a writer who is also a huge fan of the genre they write in, The Magicians is a standout for its network. Number 2. The Expanse. Beating out The Magicians this time is Sci-Fi's impressively complicated story about a brewing war between humans fractured to 3 separate colonies by the advent of advanced space travel. The series has a great ensemble cast and uses largely accurate science to ground the more fantastical elements of a far future show. When humanity is divided between those who stayed on Earth, those who left to develop Mars, and those of the poorer caste who mine the asteroid belts, a large-scale and disastrous war seems inevitable. Then, a corporation begins experimenting with and weaponizing newly discovered alien life, and suddenly things become thinly balanced between the undesirable near-war status quo and the possible destruction of mankind. Number 1. Battlestar Galactica. Topping our list is Ron D. Moore's stunning remake of the 1970s science fiction series Battlestar Galactica. This 2003 remake brought in an impressive ensemble cast, a new documentary-esque approach to filming a space series, feature-quality special effects, and a riveting story that touched on artificial intelligence, theistic and cultural divisions, apocalyptic warfare, and military politics. The series is rightfully beloved, and alongside shows like Lost, helped usher television into the serialized and genre-focused golden age we now enjoy. For all of that and more, we acknowledge Battlestar Galactica as the best original series that Sci-Fi has ever aired. Thank you for tuning in to TVEnthusiast.com or our YouTube channel. Stay tuned to TV Enthusiast for more coverage of all of your favorite shows. Don't miss our weekly podcast, The Weekly Set, which is available every Friday. This week we'll be talking about Star Trek and the Orville. You can access our podcast on your podcast client of choice or through our YouTube channel. See you next week.